Welcome back to March or Die. I am the Stress Master.
And I am the tumor, and thank God you're back.
Yeah, thank you so much for holding it down while I was gone. The videos were really cool. I really enjoyed your last video. I got to watch it, and you picked one. You picked Genesis as one of your shows. I actually liked this year's show, but I liked 2022 just a little bit better because I was there live and they did some really cool stuff. If you haven't seen that show, 2022 Genesis, they did some cool. They did this. It's kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing, but they had this really cool parlor trick where they actually had somebody in. It was kind of like a tilted box, I guess, and it was like translucent. So when they turn on the light, you would see like somebody there, and like it was like the Wicked Witch, and then it changed to somebody else, and so that was kind of a cool little vibe there.
Colts, I remember, what year was it? I think, was it 2014? Colts did a really cool, they did a dark Wizard of Oz show. Was it the Other Side of the Rainbow, I think it was called?
I think so. People are going to see it here on the screen in a second if they haven't already seen it.
That was definitely, it was in my top 10 of all-time favorite non-finalist shows. So
Yeah,
didn't quite make the cut, though.
yeah. You know what? I really, speaking of the Colts, I really loved their 2022 show. I really thought that was cool. 23 was good. Don't get me wrong, but because everything's better when you're there live, right? So I really loved their 2022 show. It just had this kind of cool, color palette, this cool vibe thing happening.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was really well done. Really good job, Colts. And last year was great too. Don't get me wrong, but it's always better when you're there live.
I thought last year was awesome. It really connected with that show.
Yeah,
I think anybody who's ever been on tour, it would be impossible not to connect with that show. So I think
yeah.
the Colts is a funny old core, though, because no disrespect intended to anybody who marched there or the organization, because I really do quite like the Colts, but they are a core that's kind of easy to overlook. And when you go back and you look at their back catalog, I dare you to find a show that isn't entertaining, and then they've had a few shows that were really quite edgy, the Other Side of the Rainbow being one, or they did one back in, I think it was 18 or 19, about like a descent into hell type show and stuff like that. So yeah, just some really cool designs there. So yeah, so Colts,
Yeah.
like what you doing?
Yeah, really love the Colts. And speaking of 2022, so we have some news to go into, and this is we're going to be talking about some different stuff. We really wanted to. We've been kind of since we haven't had the podcast in a little bit, we've missed quite a bit of stuff. There's been some new stuff that's come out, so we do want to make sure we talk about that. And the reason why I'm bringing up 22 is because there's some Trooper news about their third installment of their show that we're going to get to in this podcast. Plus, we're actually going to watch. We're going to watch the video where they talk about that, and then we're going to watch some WGI stuff too. So I think we should probably check on some WGI scores. They just had, I think they had a regional last week. There's probably one today, but maybe we should pop up and grab those scores too and take a look. So I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Speaking of WGI and scores, has anybody told Pulse Percussion that it's still early season?
Yeah, I know. Like at a 92.4 or something like that. It's insane.
Wow. They're
insane in the membrane.
Unbelievable. All right, so we're going to the news then, are we? And now the news. So yeah, so as Justin said, we've been away from the podcast for about 17 years, it seems. Or at least that's how long it seems when I try doing a video by myself. I said I said in my first video that it's funny, I've been doing this podcast with you for a few months now, and this I find fine, but the idea of me being by myself in front of the camera, I found quite uncomfortable. The first video, second video, it was all right. So anyway, the news.
Yeah.
So first things first, I'm going to share my screen here. First things first, I'd like to give a little bit of a shout out. This isn't on the DCI website, but a little shout out to our friends over at the Drum Corps Coffee Shop. on the old Book of Face. Rob and the guys there have been doing some really good stuff, and they had a drum corps coffee shop scholarship this year.
Oh,
And so that was awarded, and congratulations to Jackson Culp from the Bluecoats, who's also said that he's going to make sure to keep everybody updated as the season goes and throughout spring training and tours. So congratulations to Jackson at the Bluecoats.
yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Um, the Blue Knights have an opening for a trumpet player. Anybody that knows anything about this activity will know that openings at this time of the year are pretty rare. So
Take
if
advantage.
that's
Yeah.
if that's your thing, then definitely should get in touch with the guys over there in Denver.
Yeah, if you want to march.
7th Regiment is hosting a fundraising campaign, which is now live online, and it's to help them to upgrade their sound carts for this summer. I want to make it a point to highlight corps that that don't have the big corporate sort of budgets that some of the bigger top 12 corps do. 7th Regiment, again, it's a corps that's been around for a long time. They put out some great shows, so I'd like to encourage people to go out and support them and all the drum corps wherever you
Yeah,
can.
definitely do that.
Pacific Crest has announced their leadership team for 2024. Trying to make this a bit bigger here. There we go. So we've got our section leaders and drum majors and such. So again, to those guys over at Pacific Crest who've stepped up into student leadership positions, congratulations.
Yeah,
Well
way to
done.
go. Way to go.
In all age class, the Governors are also hosting a online and also, I believe, in person fundraising event. Again, Governors Corps that's been around forever. I think that it's really important that we get behind the all age class because DCA probably wouldn't exist this year. Might have had one more year in it, but these guys coming over to DCI, I think is not only good for the all age activity, but ultimately it's going to be good for DCI as well. So again, I'd like to encourage people to get behind them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen this year.
Again, we have more open spots. Atlanta Corvettes, again, another one of the all age corps, has quite a few positions open at the moment for brass players. They're looking for 5 trumpets, 1 mellophone alternate, and 1 tuba alternate. Again, reach out to the guys down in Atlanta, and I'm sure that they can look to help you out.
Yeah, I wish I could march.
A corps that we spoke about on an earlier podcast, the Seattle Cascades, have announced their full repertoire now. A couple of things on here really, really jump out at me, actually. Number one is their third movement is Cavaliers.
Oh, yeah.
So Justin, through the magic of editing, I am certain, no doubt, we'll find some amazing Bulgarian folk singers to throw in there. It is literally one of my all-time favorite pieces of music.
Yeah, definitely. This is one piece I think we did. John Rashawn arranged this for the baritones and the low brass, and we played it.
Yeah, remember that
during one of our as a warm up, I think. So it was such a beautiful piece, just
It
gorgeous.
is just an absolutely stunning piece of music. And to be fair, if as I said, magic of YouTube, Justin will put something on here, but get onto the old YouTube and check out. There's a lot of different versions of Cavaliers that you can find on YouTube. But what I would strongly suggest is make sure you've got a drink with you. Make sure you've got a little bit of time because
Yeah.
you're going to be going down a rabbit hole of Bulgarian folk music. Um, but the full repertoire for the 2024 Seattle Cascades is Movement 1, Across the Universe, Movement 2, Out of the Blue, Movement 3, Cavaliers, Sky Above, and then Imagine by
Hmm.
John Lennon. Is it John Lennon or the Beatles that did Imagine? I can never
It was
remember.
John Lennon. Yeah, definitely. I don't think it was the Beatles.
I'm going to say something that's a little bit sacrilege. I've never been a fan of the Beatles. I've always thought they were a very
Oh,
overrated band.
yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Beatles. I know some people are totally into them, but not me.
Fighting words, I know. Fighting words, I
No,
know.
it's all right. People get over it.
And finally, the Santa Clara Vanguard has also listed their percussion student leaders. So Jace Ballard is the snare section leader. William Vasquez is the tenor section leader. I'm going to try to say your name, Bo. Bo Bavuset is the bass section leader. I'm guessing he's probably from Louisiana. So if he is, my
Yeah,
commiserations, because everybody knows how much you and I love that state.
it's our favorite place to
Uh,
go. What do you mean?
Christian Bayer is the cymbal section leader, and McKenna Mailer is the front ensemble section leader. And finally, for my bit of the news, the
Oh
Mandarins.
yeah,
That's something
yes.
that jumped out on me there.
Look at
Uh,
that.
it would appear that it would appear we've made it. On the DCI website, Mandarin's core director J.W. Kester was featured in a recent episode of the March or Die TV podcast.
We're somebody.
Screenshot that one, get it framed, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we're somebody now. Show them what happens when you click on it.
Oh, look what it does. It just, boom,
Look at that. It's like magic.
just takes you right into it. That is really cool. And to be fair, JW is just, he was an absolute
Oh my
riot.
gosh.
It was funny. I'd never spoken to the man before we recorded those 2 episodes, and I actually felt like when we finished, I was just talking to an old friend. So,
Yeah, he was such a cool guy. I mean, I'm glad he was able to come on, and
and
we
this
learned a
is the
lot.
bit, Justin, where I let you take over because you've got a few things you want to talk about as well, I
Yes,
believe.
yes. We're going to go ahead and get into that right now. So let's go ahead and jump on over. All right, what we have next is Cavaliers. So this was on Reddit. I'm not sure the validity of this thing because it just said it's Cavies changed their banner icon. I went on their website. I didn't see it. So I'm not sure if this is real or not. It does look kind of cool, but I'm
Looks
just not
kind of
sure if
secret
this is what it is.
society. Gee, haven't they done secret society shows before?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. Actually, we kind of stole the theme for one of the bands I was teaching. It turned out pretty cool, but all right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, so the next thing is the Bluecoats in a group called Sunlux. They're announcing a 2-year creative and educational partnership. They're named artists in residence through 2025 seasons. So basically, if you guys don't know who they are, they're the ones that did the music for everywhere,
I
all
think
at
it's kind of like
once.
electronica and post pop or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I'm not too familiar with their music, but what they did was kind of cool in that movie, and I know they've done some other movies and stuff like that. So it should be interesting. I'm really interested to see like what they're going to be doing with the Bluecoats, and I have enjoyed the last few years of the Bluecoats. Last year, not so much, but 22, 23,
I think it's an interesting collaboration. I mean, I'll be honest with you,
yeah.
musically, I've checked out their back catalog. Doesn't really do much for me, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping that it'll be kind of cool because the Bluecoats always do some really interesting stuff with music and visuals. So I'm really kind of excited to see what they're gonna do. So
Hey,
like last year wasn't my
we
favorite,
we
but
want to be a little bit edgy. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't like last year's show.
yeah, I mean
It,
22 was way better I think than 23. Just the
oh
narration
yeah.
got to me, man. It just bothered me. But anyway, so let's go ahead and move forward and move on to the next thing. Okay, so next up we have some Cavalier news. They are welcoming Dr. Matt Stratton as the 2024 brass consultant. Not too familiar with him. The name sounds familiar. Let me take a look here. Okay, so it looks like he was brass caption at Cadets. Oh, he was at Cadets. Okay. He Woodlands High School and Carmel High School. Okay, so maybe that's why the name sounds familiar to me. So really cool that they're bringing some new people on to kind of give more perspective. And then also the Cavaliers color guard. I did read this last week. Big Muddy Dance Company. I'm not familiar with them, but I think they're trying to get their guard more experience before they get into the 2024 season. So they partnered up with the dance company there to get them some more training, it looks like. So, and we already talked about the core director. Okay, so what we have here is the Troopers reveal. They're going to be going more in depth about the 2024 season, Dance with the Devil, and hopefully we'll get some more insight into what the show's about. I know 2022, 2023, this is the trilogy, so they're going to be carrying forward, I think, from previous years into this year. So can't wait to see that. I did notice here that there's brass and silver horns, so I'm not sure if they're switching to silver.
No, I think you're probably
or if they're sticking with the brass. I don't know.
Somebody's brought their own horns to, or they borrowed some horns for rehearsal. Troopers. I remember when they went with the brass horns. Although looking at that picture, though, that brass horn is pretty trashed, and those silver ones aren't. So yeah, I suppose there could be something to that. But I know that when they got the brass horns, part of the reason they went with brass, and if I'm wrong, somebody from Troopers, please say something. But I remember hearing that part of it was they got a deal on brass horns as well because they would be easier to resell.
And I'm wondering if they went because of the Voracious was the gold, was the color scheme. So I'm wondering if that's kind of also part of it as well. But who knows? I mean, to me, though, brass doesn't sound as good as silver. It has more mellow tone, so maybe they'll switch. Who knows? But let's go ahead and jump into the video.
A lot of people don't know this. The costume is based off of the imagery that we released already. The costume's already on we've already released it.
Oh?
Nobody knows that, but we've already released it. I mean, the costume we have will look very similar.
I was wondering why they released that photo. I mean, it looks cool.
We were talking about that. We said that.
Hi, I'm Tim Snyder, the program coordinator of the Troopers Drum and Bugle Corps.
Yeah, that's totally badass.
This year, our show is entitled Dance with the Devil. Our show is about basically what would happen if you made a deal with the devil.
Oh, we can get a copyright
what does
for this.
that look like?
Music
what
in
does
the background.
That mean? It's kind of a continuation of last year's show. We caught the sun, and what did it take to do that? So that's kind of where the genesis started for this year's show. We're opening with Bruckner 8. So that's one of the tunes that we're doing, but we're doing it in a little bit different way. You're going to feel the heat of the sun. You're going to feel what it might feel like to be desolate. In last year's show, you saw the drum major catch the sun. Now you're going to see this same drum major on the other side of the sun. What does that look like? Then we'll move on to Hyperlink by Peter Graham. We've used his work several years now, and
never heard that
he just fits with what we do, and I think we're doing it in a very interesting way. Our ballad this year is House of the Rising Sun. We found a person who literally sounds like Johnny Cash. I've never heard this in my whole life. You would be hard-pressed to tell that it's not Johnny Cash. So you will hear, I guess, air quotes, Johnny Cash in the Trooper show, which I don't think there's even a better match made in heaven.
Interesting.
So we'll have that, and that's where you will see the first strains of the guitar. We will be playing Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood by Santa Esmeralda. It is very much a dance tune. And then we'll be closing with Weight of the World by Stephen Malillo. So it's kind of an eclectic grouping of music that we're trying to put together in a different way.
It's interesting because Tim and I have been talking for many years now, since the post-pandemic years began, and kind of creating this Troopers universe in the modern era. And it's it's an edgier, it's a darker kind of a vibe. You can imagine back in in the old trooper days where it was kind of the John Wayne troopers. And today you might think about it more like the Red Dead Redemption video game troopers, kind of a modern look and feel.
All of these different shows
That's awesome.
since I've been at the Troopers has
Very
been
true, though.
a version of what I think the Troopers could be. We see the Troopers in an oil field. What would that look like if there were Troopers in an oil field? With Voracious. And then this past year, what would it look like if the Troopers were actually riding a horse trying to lasso the sun? That in every single one of these Troopers live in a different space in the same world. You just see them in different areas. So we kind of come across the idea of maybe it's like the Marvel Universe, I don't know, where there's different superheroes, but our superhero happens to be a trooper. Our goal from the beginning has tried to put something on the field that everyone, no matter if you're a new Trooper fan or an old Trooper fan, that you're going to enjoy. When we talk to the kids, I really do say to them, you got to get them on their feet right here. This is what we're trying to convey. And the kids try. They try to get the audience on their feet. That is a major conversation. We never talk about scores. We don't talk about, do we say we want to be on Saturday night? Sure, everybody does that. But we want to get the audience on their feet. That's our main goal. And if they're not standing, then we haven't done our job. And I believe that from a design standpoint, not from a kid standpoint.
Great sound. My goodness. What a good sound. Yeah. So cool. Can't wait to see what they're going to do.
So, Justin, before we get started, could you I'm going to share my screen very quickly. Right. So before you say anything, Justin, I was going to wait until the end of this episode for the British swear word of the day.
And now, the British swear word of the day.
The British swear word of the day, folks, is bollocks, which is the greatest word in the English language. The word most commonly used in exasperation and disappointed. Also used as an insult, a compliment, or a general statement. And in this case, when he says, do we want to make finals? It's not the end all be all. Bollocks. Of course you want to make finals. Of course you want to make finals. You've made finals 2 years in a row. I'm sorry, but making semifinals now is not acceptable. And you know what? When JW was on, he said, nobody will admit it, but we're all competitive. Of course you're competitive. And you're going to tell me that if they didn't make Saturday night, they wouldn't be disappointed? Bollocks. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
And that was the British swear word of the day. Brought to you by the March or Die TV podcast.
Bollocks. Yeah, right. All right, let me switch back.
Right. Just one more thing, if I could jump in before we get on to WGI. So, and then the other thing as well, the all joking aside, he mentioned Peter Graham. If you don't know who Peter Graham is, and you're into brass music, or if you're into drum corps, you should familiarize yourself with Peter Graham. And anybody who's been a fan of this activity since about, 2018, damn well knows Peter Graham, because he wrote Metropolis, which Vanguard played in 18. He's an absolutely prolific composer in the British brass band scene. And I think we may have mentioned it before, but again, YouTube is your friend on this one. If you haven't checked out competitive British brass band, and especially if you're a brass player, absolutely do so. But again, make sure you've got a nice beverage and some time, because down that rabbit hole you're going as well. Do it after you've done the Bulgarian folk music rabbit hole, though.
All right, so we're going to watch Rhythm X next. We do want to start watching more WGI. We also want to, like Winter Guard, Winter Drumline. There are wins, of course, but we really want to start watching more of that as we go through here. And then as we get into the summer, then we'll switch back to drum corps. But
I was saying,
there's some good stuff out there.
I do know that there's a Music City Mystique video knocking about as well of their full show in uniform.
Yeah, and I think I saw that. And the other Pulse one was just in the tennis courts, and I really didn't want to watch that. So let's go ahead and watch this and see what we got. I had no idea what this show's even about, but we're gonna get the idea here. It's a bird. Blackbird? Oh, blackbird. Yeah. Okay. They have a big pit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 11 mallets and 4 cents. A lot going on. Wow, they can play.
Huge pit as well.
Yeah.
Take these broken wings. And learn to fly.
Oh, there's the snares. I like how they're moving like a bird.
Well, that was clean.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed is in the last like 5 years or so is there's a lot of dancers that don't even play percussion instruments. They're just there
I was just thinking
for
that.
visual support. It's just interesting.
I think that probably kind of originated back with Music City Mystique when they did the Fantastique show.
Nah. Nice groove. Nice counter motion. Little half tempo.
Super, super clean feet in the battery there.
Yeah, they're really moving well. Look at that. Oh, go bass drums. Nice.
Nice. I like that visual though.
Yeah, it's really cool. They're really doing a good job of the show concept of the bird throughout, so kind of tying it all together.
Some really tasty body work in the battery there.
Oh, that's cool. How they're pushing and it's moving the group away. Like they're a flock, basically moving. So once again, the show concept.
Take these sunken eyes.
Oh yeah, we hear you,
That's
basses.
interesting. Yeah, that was cool. The hands. It's interesting how the props they lay down or go vertical. Kind of changes the look of the show, or the look of the visual.
Like the tuning on the basses as well. They actually sound like bass drums. A lot of times they sound they just crank so high.
Yeah, you can hear from top to bottom, like a good. Ooh, nice quads, tenors. Pit, man, they're just playing like crazy. Really good. Damn, throwing it down. When they move the props, it changes the feel again of the stage. And the blackbird in the front again. Very cool. All right. I dug that. Very cool.
Abrupt endings seem to be the thing. I'm going to ask the stupid question here. And
Go ahead.
Pardon my ignorance, everybody. I'm not a drummer. Okay? I know what dirty and clean sounds like. I know what good body movement sounds like or looks like, and so on and so forth. But in a drum and bugle corps show, hear me out. We have somebody that's standing up on a podium doing this. Yeah. Where are they getting their time from? To be able to play as clean as they do, where do they get the time from? There must be. There's no cues or visual cues unless there's some cues coming from behind the back of somebody in the front of some. How do they do it?
It's a lot of metronome in practice, especially like when it transfers from the pit to the battery. There's a delay. There's a slight delay, so they have to really be anticipating all the time. So it gets tricky, but because it even starts with the pit, right? And then the drums come in. So they have to be anticipated. It's just practice, man. Because all the rehearsals I've ever had is just practice.
See, it's one of those things that I've never really had a great deal of experience in because obviously I'm not a drummer. I moved to the UK in 2001 or 2002. So I've never really had any long-term exposure other than just looking at YouTube and admiring what I see on YouTube, you know. But as far as the nuts and bolts that go into it, I'm a bit of a novice, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've taught a lot of winter drumline, a lot, and it's really when you're indoors though, it's easier because the sound is closer. You know what I mean? It's not like when you're on a field, you're like 50 yards away or 40 yards away or whatever it is. So it is a little bit easier, but it is a lot of anticipation, especially if you're in the back, like because you're listening for like if I'm a battery person, I'm listening to the pit, and then when they stop playing. And I'm supposed to come in, I have to be anticipating, like, when I'm hearing, like, whatever they're playing, I know where I'm going to come in. So they just kind of know eventually after a while.
Dudding out loud and dudding in their head.
A lot of dudding out loud.
I say, imagine you can't even really dut out loud that much in an indoor arena as well.
No. Just during practice.
Yeah.
That's about it. All right, I actually wanted to pull up the WGI scores. Let me see if I can pull them up real quick. Give me 1 second.
And another thing, while you're doing that, what the hell is in the water in Chino?
I know.
So I went to high school in California. You went to high school in California. And I'll bet neither one of our high school drum lines sounded anything like them.
No, Chino Hills, man, they've always had like this crazy freaking thing for decades.
Well, it's not just Chino. You got Chino Hills, you got Ayala.
Yeah.
Then, of course, down in those parts, that part of the world as well, you've got Pulse,
Diamond.
and Broken City, and Diamond.
Yep.
And I mean, my God, what the freak is in the water down there?
Well, there's a lot of people. They have a lot of students. So you have a bigger pool of people to draw from. Like where I went to school, we had 2,000 people in our school, but our band was, when I left, our band was 80. So, you know, you're not going to get as much. And what's weird is because we have all the big drum corps up here.
Yeah, I just remember my high school. I think we had about the same in the band, and you and I marched with one of our drummers from my high school band. I don't know if you remember Seal, bass number 3 in '89.
I was oblivious in '89.
Yeah, anyway,
I was oblivious.
So he was the only drummer that we had in my high school band that could actually play quarter notes and 4/4 and not lose time. So yeah, I see. I again, my knowledge of winter drumline. The funny thing is winter guard is quite popular over here. There is some winter drumline over here, but it's primarily on the continent. So, you got European X and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty huge, man. WGI, I mean, Winter Guard was the big thing for decades, and then when Winter Percussion started coming in, and then now that's the big thing. And now they have winds, which is kind of what I really just blows my mind is about 15 years ago I tried to start indoor winds. I actually tried to start that. I didn't get very far, but I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could just do like indoor marching band, like, you know, and then they ended up doing it. So now it's this
funny
thing.
Because in Europe, unfortunately in Europe, the activity is pretty much on its last leg, if not dead, you know. And I think that a big part of that was that Brexit didn't help for starters. So when the UK left the European Union, some of the better, you had the Kids Girl Scouts, you had the company. For a long time, you had the Senators and a bunch of other. And as I have mentioned before, I am working on a European Drum Corps episode. But there, you generally had a good portion of the top units came from the UK. But there was an opportunity over here, I always thought. And the other thing as well in Europe is you got a lot of NIMBYs over here, not in my backyard. You know, nobody wants to hear a drum corps rehearse. Also, the weather's bad, you know, so it's hard to find times where you can be outside rehearsing. So I was saying 5-6 years ago that if they wanted the activity to survive, they needed to move it indoors here. Never did. And unfortunately, 2024 will probably be the last year of competitive drum corps in Europe, unfortunately.
They need to do like what Japan does. It's all indoors, man.
That is so much on my bucket list, I'm telling you, man.
That is so crazy.
Hey, do you know what, Justin? Sod it. Let's sod off DCI and let's you and I bugger off to Japan for the All Japan Championships, man. We'll go over there. We'll have some sushi. We'll eat some sake. We'll check out the crazy vending machines and just go check out the All Japan Drum Corps Championships. That'd be amazing.
I just want to go to Tokyo Disney. That's kind of like my thing.
Right.
It's supposed to be amazing. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick.
And now the scores.
Yeah, let's get there.
Do you want me to do my best Brant Crocker?
Okay, so we had to do some clever editing. We were looking for the scores from the Temecula show, so here they are. And we might look at the recaps here in a second, but wanted to look at the scores for Pulse because they were really, really high. So we want to look at that 92 or 90.35.
It's crazy.
I know. And then we get Pulse with the 92.4, 89.65 for Broken City, POW Percussion, 84.93, 83.5, and 96.1. Jeez, look at these scores. I mean, it's insane. Let's take a look at the recaps here and see what it really was, because that's just really, really high for this early season.
I'll tell you what, though, that bodes well that bodes well for Pacific Crest though, because I know Pacific Crest has quite a few of the staff from Pulse are actually also on staff at Pacific Crest, as I recall.
That's going to be good for them, maybe. But look at this. I mean, 27.9 out of 30, 18.5 out of 20, and then a 27.5 out of 30. That's a 93 and a 91 in music. That's a crazy high. And then an 18.5 out of 20 in visual.
I mean, my gosh, jeez. This early in the season, you would expect, hey, we could play. Yeah.
And this is
that's
just
what I'm saying.
great,
This early in the
crazy.
season, you would expect, we could play our show, but we can't really move it that well, or we can move the show, but we can't. There's no weaknesses.
Yeah, there's really
just
not.
No
I mean,
weaknesses.
I'd love to see the full version of the show. Like I said, it was the one I saw was in a tennis
It's
court. So I'm
bollocks.
like, I'm not really interested in that. Yeah, it's bollocks. Exactly. Exactly.
Hey, we're trying to do something new, so WGI, it's not totally in our wheelhouse. Definitely not in my wheelhouse, but I still enjoy watching it and I still enjoy reacting to it. So
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of design, and I've done a lot of winter drumline, winter guard, marching band, and stuff like that. And it always goes back to the fundamentals of everything: music, movement, and visual. Right? Like, what are you doing visually? What are you doing musically? How are you moving? To me, it seems it's always going to be those three fundamental core things. And then it's just, what do you do with those three core things that really makes the difference, So,
yeah.
And show design too. So I should say show design too, like how you design a show. All right, wow. That's all we have. There's going to be probably a lot of editing on my part. Oh, do we have more?
There is something that you have forgotten though.
Or would I forget?
Well, somewhere down here,
Oh yes.
there is a like button. There's a subscribe button. There's a little
Yes,
bell
please.
icon.
Yes,
There's
please
other
make
ways
sure you
you can
subscribe.
Other ways you can support us as well. There's the merch store. There's memberships as well. If you like what we do, the free thing to do is like and subscribe. Recommend us to your friends, your families, and if you don't like us, like and subscribe and recommend us to your enemies.
Exactly.
Either way, we win.
Either way, we win. And we really do appreciate you guys. And like I said, we are going to be, one of the things we were discussing is, I unfortunately had to take a couple weeks away from the channel, and appreciate Kanan getting on here and doing some videos. So we are gonna start adding more videos to the channel. I know I've been kind of
playlist, Justin.
Oh, you started a playlist. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a playlist on there now. It's the Kanan Takeover series.
There you go.
I was going to call it the Hostile Takeover series, but
There's nothing hostile here. We're too old for that. But we do appreciate you guys watching, and like I said, I'm going to be going out to as many shows as I can here in California. Trying to get you guys like things that are happening in real time there. I might be doing some live streams from a show here and there. So just be aware that it's going to happen this summer. I really wish I was going to DCI, but I just can't afford it. I won't be able to afford it probably until next year at least. Yeah, it's very expensive to go out there. But well, we thank you guys for watching. Thanks so much. Once again, please like, subscribe, and then make sure you go to the community and become involved there. And we will be, like I said, we're going to be introducing more videos. We're going to be trying to do more stuff on the channel. As we're getting closer, we're in March, so we have March, April, May, June, and July, and August, and then Drum Corps is over. So we're going to try to bring as much as we can to you. So thank you so much. We'll see you on. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have some cool stuff coming up, and don't forget as well, JW Kester is going to join us every now and then during the season as well. So lots of cool stuff coming up.
Yep, we might have some more guests on our channel, so stay tuned for that. We do appreciate everyone that's come on so far. So thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Until then,
March on.
I even need to? Yeah, just march on.
March on.
Just march on. March on. And we'll see you on the next one.